So here we are at old Kohitere boys' home. We're looking at the old digger, the block back in the day. This was a Department of Social Welfare boys' home, and it's been land banked, and it's been abandoned and used and mistreated since the day it's closed, since its closing date. Now what we have done is looked at maybe making a project out of this, a project for the people. Who knows how it might turn out, but this is day one, ground zero. We're going to go through the place, have a look at the building. You'll get to see just what kind of work is ahead of us here, because it's quite epic. So we've got Pania down there. She's picking up some of the glass that's in the broken windows. Every window in this place is broken. You can be guaranteed there won't be a single piece of glass that's whole from the structure. So what we have here is the breezeway. Coming up the stairs and the breezeway, we have ahead of us is the block. We'll get to that in a second. This here would have been an administration building where staff would have kept files or have their smoko room, likely to be a smoko room. Shift change outs would have been a bit of a dull day because there was really nothing here to keep you occupied if you're a staff member. Even worse if you're a K-boy. So those would have been filing cabinets over there, and there's an emergency exit door there. There's a side emergency door there. Beautiful tall windows once upon a time, gone. What would have been some office cabinetry there. Whether there was carpet in here, I suppose there was, because there's some carpet in this doorway here. Just glass everywhere, just terrible. I mean, these were good buildings even about 5 to 6 years ago when we first started coming out and looking at the place. But you see, we've got kids here that come from SIPs, and they just take it upon themselves to come out here and let some steam off, and that's all very good, letting off the steam. This is the consequences of it all. So another part about this property being land banked is that even though the owners, which was the Department of Social Welfare, they still kind of had a responsibility to upkeep these buildings, which they more or less, once it's land banked, they just walked away from. And call it budget cuts or call it I don't care. But essentially, when this is handed back to iwi, really this is what we get back. And you know, uncool guys, but is what it is. There's some really rough bits up the top there. As you can see, this one here is absolutely roached on the roof. So, you know, the boards themselves are no good, but maybe the bones where there's no rot, there's rot up there. Maybe it might be salvageable, but we don't know until we get underneath the skin. It might be just to destroy the whole damn place, but we're going to have a go. Now this here was another breezeway. This here was all roofed in once upon a time. The water's got to the top of it and just found its way through, and after a while it just kind of caved in, and then someone, I think, is just out of safety, has brought it down altogether. And what we have straight ahead here is the roof, flat on the ground. Here's another section of the roof. It's probably better that it's been all pulled down physically rather than it just tentatively hang, waiting to drop on someone where, you know, end up very dead. So these here were monitoring rooms. This here would have been the guards' room, no doubt. Power boxes, all the copper in there has been stripped out. Surprisingly, there's copper up there that hasn't been stripped out, so unless it's plastic, I suspect it's plastic and no one's bothered taking that out. So that would have been the emergency sprinkler system. We've got some cinder blocks underneath the walls there, so maybe some people have thought about torching this place, but because it's made of cinder block, it's just not worth it. Now I'm just trying to guess what this here is. This is another, I doubt that it's a cell block. It might have been an isolation unit. It could have also been just the staff quarters in which they could, staff abolitions. You don't want the staff using the, yeah, it's just incredible the state of this place, how the organisation that ran it has actually let it go. So, okay, we're going to go through into the main block now. And I suppose if there's any redeeming features about this place is that the artwork for the length of time that this has been closed, which is a good 30 odd years, still remains. Now that's amazing. In my view it is, because for the amount of damage that people have come along and done, there's very little damage done to the artworks themselves. Now these were painted by the boys, and when I say the K boys, I literally mean these were young teenage boys who were either already in foster care or from broken down homes, and were taken into state ward care, for their own protection or worse, the protection of the community that they've come from. And they could be from a range of things like serious charges to minor charges to just basically being homeless out on the street, really. But I'm just going through all the series of artworks that are being painted, and it's really well preserved, and I have every intention of keeping that so as we go through and start to make best use of this place. Now you see these big sheets of glass up there that we used as skylights. So we don't really have a plan at the stage how we're going to attack this. We've just had this insane idea that we're going to deal to it, and how we're going to deal with it is anybody's business, because it's just so much to, you got to get rid of stuff and burn pile with the wood, and the carpet's been rolled up underfoot, and look at this, it's just been, nature's claiming it all back. It's quite inspirational, that. Alright. So when we say the digger, this is basically a prison and a boys' home. And these are, as you can see, these are small rooms, not much viewing into the outside world, but then when you come to this place, it's not for good. It's you've been isolated from the main population. It's a prison within a prison. And they had sturdy doors, but not steel doors. And each of the doors had a view-in window so that the staff could come through and monitor the welfare of each of the people that occupied these spaces. Now, these were never full constantly. You'd end up here if you were a new arrival and you had a high risk of running away, which most new arrivals would spend a few days, if not a week or two, here. And that was within the limits of what the United Nations rules are for imprisonment of a minor. Really, this is a true story. So, again, these were Spartan spaces. And if you can imagine, they were kind of like homely. Yeah. This is a kind of like a bigger double bunk, bigger again. And I don't know why you would have a double bunk. Maybe long stayers here would end up in the... And I mean, when I say long stayers, I mean people that have been condemned to this place for more than a week because of just nowhere else for them to go. Too young to go to prison. And when I say boys, I mean somewhere between the ages of 15, 16, through to 17, 18. And if you have not got your shit together, by the time you are 18... you are off to the mainstream jail population. And one of the sad legacies about Kohitere is that it was an intermediary between being a young member of the state ward and boys' homes, because there were boys' homes for a younger age. This was an intermediary before prison, so if you had not got your shit together by the time you'd left this place, you were on your way to jail, a gang, a life of misery, and most likely early death. So these are one of the more fortunate sides, I suppose, because at least on this side you get a room with a view, and when I say view I really mean it. This is not the best day, but out that window here that I'm poking the lens out is the Tararua, and what a vista. You can see the town is slowly creeping up on this place. It used to be a farm as far as the eye can see. There used to be native trees all around here. They've been knocked out. It's all been made way for pasture. If not pasture, then horticulture development. Moving through, we're just about coming to the end of this now. We'll skip these last two. They're pretty much the same as all the others. Then we'll go in here, in which was either the shower box or the prison game room. But it was definitely part of the prison for the boys, in which they could have time out space. There would have been, as you can see, it's a bigger window, but you know, notwithstanding the bars, this would have been a decent space to mill for the day. But you know, it's a decent sized space. It must be the best of 15 to 20 metres by 4 metres, 3 to 4 metres. 10-foot high ceiling, so there's no way you're going to be getting up the top there, and those windows, they were thick. You could throw a chair at them, the chair wouldn't be going through those. Not if you were sitting on plastic chairs. That there would have been a blackboard, so you could sit there and write whatever messages you wanted to your crew on the outside. Not that they would have ever got there. But you know, this gives you a bit of an idea about more the work plan is not good. But who knows? It has got this. At least this building has got good bones, kind of. But the integrity of all the wood and the roof and throughout is pretty shot. Got to get up on the roof. I'm not going to do that video today, but there we go. All going well. We'll be able to start showing some progression photos of where we're at. So the idea is to start with this space here, because we've chosen this space to begin with. This space here is one of the first rooms that we came in and had a look at. What's great about this space is that the roof is solid. You can see there's not a lot of water permeation in the roof, and especially this room here. So, you know, we could count on staying on this room here at the least before moving forward and going into the other spaces. Alright, so that's our first video. Thank you for watching. We're going to edit this down and keep a watch. Ka pai.